Good morning, everyone. We are continuing here in the words of the HaChaim in the Sefer Mitzvah HaKotzar. Today is Mitzvahs Lo Yisaseh, the negative commandment, Kuf Lamed Ches 138. Shelo Yikach Kohen Isha Zayna a Kohen. Should not marry a Zayna, a harlot. Now the next halachas, the next laws and mitzvahs coming up are all going to be revolving around the kahuna, the special sanctity that a Kohen has. And therefore, since that they are on a different level of kedusha and tahara, of holiness and of sanctity than the average Yisrael, the regular average Jew, so therefore there are many more details in how they have to guard and protect the sanctity that resides inside of them. One of them is they cannot marry a woman who is considered to be a zayna. Shenemar, as it says, Isha zayna lo yikachu, a woman that is a harlot, that is a zayna, as we mentioned before. Lo yikachu, a kohen is not allowed to take her as a wife. Zayna amor b'Torah. What exactly is a zayna that the Torah is talking about? Kol she'enu bas Yisrael. That means, first of all, anyone who is not a bas Yisrael, she's not a Jewish woman, so she's a non-Jewish woman. Or she was a Jewish woman, but she had relations with one of the Isuri Arayas, one of the prohibited illicit relations that the Torah speaks about. Or she ended up having relations with a halal. A halal, as we'll see shortly, is someone that has been, his kahuna has been damaged, and therefore is not allowed to marry into the Kohanic dynasty. And now you have a man who is a halal who ended up having relations with a woman who's a Jew. She now is pasul, she cannot marry a Kohen herself. Even though she's allowed to marry the halal, but he now has damaged her spiritually, so to speak. She's not allowed to marry a Kohen. Even if she was violated by this man, or he had relations with her, not in the normal way of relations, but he did things unnaturally. Naseis Zaina, no matter what, she becomes a Zaina, she becomes a woman of ill repute, and she cannot marry the Kohen. However, if a man came upon her when she was a Penuya, which means she was a Jewish girl who was open for marriage, even though she made herself a Kadesha, which is like a harlot, as we spoke about previously, and she made herself available to anyone, and she was mafka herself, she just made herself free to anyone. Or you have a man who ended up lying with her while she was in nida, or God forbid she ended up having relations with an animal, bestiality. She does not become a zayna as a result of that, and therefore the Kohen would in fact be able to marry her under the circumstances. This is something that applies everywhere, all of the time. One more mitzvah over here about the Kohanim today. Kuf Lamed Tes 139 mitzvahs. Lo Yisaseh, the negative commandment, Shelo Yikach Kohen Chalala. A Kohen is not allowed to marry a Chalala, a woman that is profaned. Shenemar Isha v'Chalala lo yikachu. A Kohen cannot take a woman, nor can he take a profane woman. V'Chalala hi shenolda mi'isur kahuna. Now what does that mean? That means if you have a Kohen who was together with a woman that he was not supposed to marry, and they had a child, for example, let's say that the Kohen married a Garusha, he married a divorcee, which he's not allowed to do. So the child that they have over there is called a Chalala. So this woman now is not allowed to marry into the Kahuna. Or you have a woman, she's not allowed to marry a Kohen, and she's intimate with one, and she marries one. All of these things, says the HaChaim, that is going to be a problem over here. The woman herself becomes a chalala, and she can no longer marry a kohen. This is something that applies everywhere, all of the time. And as I mentioned, the Kohanim are on a different level of kedusha. They are on a different level of holiness and sanctity, and therefore they have to behave in a different way, and they have to also be more careful in marriage and the like. We have a few more halachas that we will see by the Kohanim. We'll continue on that be'ez Hashem tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.